Hello, this is Renee, and Tom and I are on the Ultimate World Cruise, and we just docked in Reykjavik, Iceland.
It was a pretty wild night yesterday, so we had to change course and head away from the wind for a while. That has delayed us about 2 hours. So the current plan is to pick up the pilot at 8 o'clock, and hopefully we will be alongside by 9. We still have high winds out here, around 40 knots, which is too much to be able to dock, but we are hoping that the wind conditions will improve once we get closer to the port. So last night we ended up having winds up between 60 and 70 knots, so well into a Category 1 hurricane, and wave heights of up to 8 to 10 meters. So it was exciting there for a while.
We are excited to leave the ship today because we're meeting our son and daughter-in-law who flew in from Ireland, which was the start of a perfect day. Reykjavik is not only the capital and the largest city in Iceland, but it also holds a deep significance in Icelandic history and culture. The name Reykjavik translates to Smoky Bay in English, a reference to the steam rising from area hot springs which were observed by the first Norse settlers. Our first destination was Thingvellir National Park. As we stepped out of the car, the winds were gusting between 25 and 30 miles an hour, or 40 to 48 kilometers per hour, and it was a brisk 48 degrees or 9 degrees Celsius. Our first stop was Drowning Pool, and it has a dark history. It was a place of execution during the 16th and 18th centuries. Women accused of crimes such as adultery or infanticide were drowned here as part of their punishment. This method of execution was reserved specifically for women, while men were typically beheaded or hanged. We continued walking the trails and the scenery was just stunning. We left the park and we made our way to Gullfoss, which is one of the most stunning waterfalls we've seen. The name Gullfoss means Golden Falls, and it is renowned for the golden hue that sometimes appears in the water, especially when the sunlight hits it just right, although that won't be today because it's very cloudy. The waterfall cascades down into two stages, the upper drop-off, which is about 11 meters or 36 feet, and the lower drop-off, which is 21 meters or 69 feet. It drops into a rugged canyon, creating a powerful and mesmerizing spectacle. The power and beauty of the water cascading down was stunning. It was also very cold and very windy. After we left the park, we next visited Storkro Geysir. Every few minutes it would burst into the sky. The geyser is Iceland's most visited active geyser. It blasts water to heights of around 15 to 20 meters every 5 to 10 minutes. It's also been known to go as high as 40 meters. The temperature of the geyser can reach anywhere from 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. From there we went to Lagervatn Fontana, a geothermal bread bakery. That's right, the bread is baked right in the earth using the natural geothermal heat. We walked out to the active geothermal area. They bury the dough in the hot sand near the bubbling spring and let Mother Nature do the cooking for about 24 hours. We got to touch the dirt and it was very warm. The water in that hole was boiling hot. This bread has been in the ground for 24 hours. He's going to carry it over to the lake to cool it off. This is actually a community oven, and anybody can put their items in the ground to cook them. He's going to put the new bread in the ground for 24 hours from now to dig it back up again. Puts a rock on top so he knows it's his bread so other people don't dig it up. The result? A dense, slightly sweet bread with a rich, dark crust that's been perfected over the generations. Tom and I actually tried the local cuisine and loved it. In the same building was the geothermal pools, and there was 5 different pools. Each pool continued to get warmer and warmer. Okay, so Kyle had a problem walking into the pool the first time. This place was amazing and very relaxing. They talked me into going into the lake, which was freezing cold, and that didn't last long. I couldn't jump into the hot water soon enough. I was freezing. We spent several hours there and then drove back into Reykjavik. Once we got back into town, we went to Rainbow Road, which leads up to the iconic church. We were docked in Iceland for 2 days, so we had an overnight. From there, we went to Bastard Bar for dinner, and again, Tom and I tried the local cuisine. This might become a habit. Maybe not. We then walked around town for a little bit, and then they drove us back to the ship for the night. And then I get a text message that the volcano erupted. And this was about 9:40 at night. The volcano is located near Blue Lagoon, and that's where we were going to go tomorrow. So it looks like those reservations are going to be canceled. So the day before, we sailed through a Cat 1 hurricane, and the next day we have a volcano. These photos were taken just after midnight at the Perlin Museum. The volcano lit up the sky with an incredible red hue. So we had to pivot, and that night we changed our reservations to the Sky Lagoon. And that was an amazing place. It is still very cold and still very windy. The Sky Lagoon opened in 2021. The rocks were breaking the wind, but it was still cold. And once we got out in the open, we saw the stunning view of the North Atlantic Ocean. But it was windy.
We're in for another rocky night.
We stayed here several hours. This waterfall was actually hot water coming off the rocks. One of the highlights was the 7-step ritual, which includes a cold plunge and a sauna and a steam bath. Tom and I did not do the cold plunge. This sauna was simply amazing. The view was unbelievable. So very peaceful and relaxing. After this room, we did a cold mist, a salt scrub, a steam room, a hot shower, and then a rejuvenating drink. They also had a swim-up bar. And what was really cool, they also had a water closet to the left of the bar in case you needed to go to the bathroom. After several hours here, it was time to get out, dry off, and get some lunch. Before we left, we did decide to grab a beer. These bracelets that tap to unlock your locker and also paid for any items that you used at the facility. After being in such a relaxing environment and going out in the cold, that was brutal. So then we drove back into Reykjavik to have the famous Icelandic hot dogs. Yes, more local cuisine. Can't believe we're doing it. One final stop before getting back on the ship and saying goodbye to our loved ones, we stopped at the English pub.
Before we get to Kakartok, we are going to cruise through beautiful Prince Christian Sound. And as it looks like now, the weather looks very favorable for that crossing. For this evening, we have partly cloudy skies. We have a brisk wind gusting up to 45 knots.
That night, we celebrated Christmas in August. My son delivered the book I wrote about Al's adventures.
We will have rough seas later on. However, once we get out there, we're going to reduce the speed and we are going to go slowly up till approximately midnight.
Our son and daughter-in-law stayed in Iceland the next day and went back to the same lagoon, and this is how calm the waters were the next day. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more adventures from every corner of the globe. Here's our itinerary for the next 4 ports. Hey everyone, I'm thrilled to announce that my very first children's book is now published. Join Alphanet, or Al, our adventurous elephant, as he sets sails on an exciting journey across the seas. Can't wait for you all to meet Al and join him on his nautical adventures, and thank you all for your support, and I hope you and your little ones enjoy reading it as much as I enjoyed writing it. I'll leave a link in the description below. Happy reading! See you at the next port!